in a second.
Live streaming is on.
There it is. Okay, so welcome to the next the week in review of the Token Engineering Commons. We're going to really just follow the notes that are over there. As always, this call is basically the same every week. We're going to start off with a little intro to get everyone talking. And the intro question today is, what role do you see yourself filling in the TEC? So there's 3 roles that we're identifying. First is contributor, which is just like, hey, I'm here to help. I'm going to do stuff, when I want, when I feel like it occasionally. The second is subject matter experts. It's like, hey, I have a specific skill set that I want to bring, but like I don't have time to just hang out. Definitely call on me when you want me, and I'll contribute. And the next is community steward. And the community stewards are, I'm here, I'm going to work every week, I'm going to make sure this thing is a success, and let's do this, right? So just as an opener, introduce yourself and also say what role you expect to see yourself filling in the Token Engineering Commons, and how do you expect to fill that role. So I can model it first. Hi, I'm Griff Green. I'm definitely a community steward. I'm going to stick with this project all the way through, even and past the launch, to make sure that it's a huge success. And I'll do whatever it takes to make sure it happens. I'll pass it to Livia.
Hi, I'm Livia, and I'm also a community steward. And I'm very excited to continue fulfilling this role and to make sure the onboarding processes we set are happening and that people are joining happily. And I'll pass it to Angela.
Hello, I'm Angela, co-founder Token Engineering Community. And what's the question?
What role do you see yourself filling in?
My role is pulling strings, bring people together, make sure everyone knows about TE Commons, and help wherever I can.
And do you think that's more of a community steward, a subject matter expert? Community steward. Awesome. Okay. And then who do you want to pass it to? Olivia and I are the only ones who've gone.
Jakub.
Okay, hi. So I'm Jakub. For me, not yet clear about the nature of my contribution. My heart is, and my expertise is mostly around holochain, and I'm pretty much like in the space of complementary currency. So I'm not sure if this is relevant, but at least contributor, definitely, and perhaps at some point there might be some more involvement if desired. Yeah, so pass it to okay, Craig.
Craig, I think Craig is frozen.
Yeah, we may have just lost him.
Let's pass it to Jeff.
Cool. Yeah, happy to help out in the Token Engineering Commons as the need comes up. I think I will play somewhere between subject matter expert, contributor in different places, community steward, even with different initiatives as well. So I'm happy to move through whatever's needed by the community to help move this all forward. And I will pass it to Santi. Have you gone yet?
No. Hello, this is Santi. It's my first meeting here, or my second one, I should say, since I was in the previous one a couple of 30 or 40 minutes ago. I just, as I told to Griffin, I just landed here, stumbled upon this community. I'm trying to launch a project, an industry-based blockchain, and I'm trying to gather as much information as I can. Of course, token engineering is a big part of that. And I have an engineering and business background. And so I guess I'll be a contributor first. And once I get more familiarized with the community and how you guys keep moving forward, I may switch hats.
Nice. And then you can pass it to Craig or Jess. You get to pick.
Right, I'll just pass it to Jess.
Oh, Jess? Is your sound working? Yeah.
Hey, okay, I had to switch to mobile. I'm having some issues with my desktop. Anyway, hello everybody. I've been finicking with my Google for the last few minutes. But yes, as far as what I would like to contribute, I guess my skills lie in narratives and strategy, and I really enjoy memes. So I'm hoping we can get a memes working group, like a sub work group under comms going, because I see that as a very high leverage way to skip writing 50 articles and just have one really a badass meme, as we've already seen, Griff, a few circulating. So besides memes, I see myself contributing to comms, and I've been tapped gently on the shoulder to perhaps lead that working group. So I'm definitely considering and would love to at least be the catalyzer for a lot of projects and work together with some people. It's been really awesome to do comms, and as a group has been a new experience. So I think decentralizing comms, but having some processes there. So I'm happy to kind of build the processes, catalyze, and at least get the initial like energy going to start churning out some of those things. So,
And do you see yourself as a community steward or a subject matter expert, would you say?
I'm kind of in between the two right now and looking at my bandwidth. So I'm definitely open, and I feel like I should know soon. But yeah, I'm leaning towards steward.
Cool. And then I think Craig's the last one.
And I pass to Craig. Thank you.
Cool. Can you hear me? Yes, excellent. I've been having technical difficulties. Definitely, obviously, contributor. My name is Craig Anderson. I'm out of Sacramento, California. I'm fairly new to the group, although been tracking and interacting on the fringes for several months, I'd say. Leaning towards a steward as well. Love the project, but bandwidth is my biggest constraint, as it is for everyone. So I fall right into the middle there, and I have a wide range of very generalized skills. So I'm not like a specialist developer or anything like that, or a project manager, but just sort of wear multiple hats. And so I'd like to plug in wherever I can, but it's unclear to me where that might exactly be yet.
And somebody else just joined.
Yeah, it's Robbie.
Hey,
Robbie.
Robbie.
Do you have any sound on there, Robbie? Or are you just voyeuring here? Oh, definitely popping in, popping out. Okay, so then we're gonna power through because we have a lot to discuss. Robbie, if you pop in right now, you can say what you want. But okay, so feel free to come in, Robbie, when you can. I'm going to share my screen and we're going to kick through these notes. So, oops. Share screen is having issues. There we go. Okay. So, first on our agenda, thank you, everyone. I'm so excited to hear so many people want to be community stewards. That's going to be a huge help and a lifesaver for this project. So, we're really excited to welcome you guys in. After the call, feel free to stay if you want to be a community steward, because we're going to talk about what that all entails. Yeah, the first things first, where are we now? So, well, yeah, we've got the mission, vision, values. We understand how we work together for the most part. We have all that nailed. And now we're just at the working groups. So today we're hoping to really find leaders for the working groups and talk about what that will entail. And so that next week we can actually start kicking off the working groups, and we're going to talk about all of that today and what that means. These working groups are kind of the meat of the next month plus, And there'll be, so we're going to kind of divide off into our own little areas where we the community stewards will coordinate everybody together, but the working groups will off be in their own little worlds. So I'm excited to see how that turns out as we design the token economy. And then after that, in November, we'll actually start building it, and hopefully we'll be on pace to deploy it by December. This is the dream. So the purpose of this call is to show off the work that has been done this week, and to gather data that is valuable to make progress. So that's kind of the main two goals. And one thing that is really easy to fall into is discussing the different proposals and how they could improve. We don't have time for it, sadly. So try to keep the discussions to a minimum and really focus on clarifying questions, and if you have any, about the work that has been done this week. And also collect proposals and action steps for the week ahead. So if you think of something that we need to do, add it down here at the very bottom of this section. I hope, feel free to join the notes. The notes are in the chat. If you have anything that you're like, oh my God, this needs to happen this week, put it right here, actions for this week, and we'll review it at the end of the call. So first things first, kickoff post. We have a tweet right here that is showing off the awesome work that Jess and Livia did. Jess, do you want to spend like maybe 2 minutes going over the blog post?
Yeah, sure. I'm just gonna jump in here on my screen. I'm not gonna share screen though because I'm on my mobile. So if you want to share screen, I'm not sure, but yeah. So I just thought at the top, I was really inspired in thinking that this is a new, an emerging discipline. So I kind of used this dictionary. If you scroll down a bit to the dictionary form, I thought it would be a fun way. And also it turned out to be a really good exercise in gathering all the community feedback on kind of defining this discipline, which actually I haven't really seen in other publications. I've linked these 2 articles that are fantastic if you hadn't had a chance to read them. That's where we drew this definition from, but I think we could even kind of spread this as a tweet or a meme, and even in academia as establishing this as a discipline, which I think the TEC Commons is actually and Angela said this morning on the call, that's a lot of what this is about as well. And then scrolling down, Griff went over it a little bit, but if you weren't on the call, kind of why the TE Commons, and just acknowledging, what's hot right now is DeFi, so it's exploding. And I think you're seeing this kind of pattern emerge of different groups, Whaler DAO and all these DeFi for goods. And Trent this morning talking about Ocean Protocol, how they're kind of hacking into DeFi to harness this hype and Aikido it into public goods and the commons. So I think for me, that's what's like most exciting for a lot of people. And the TEC is going to be a vehicle a spaceship that we can all fly together to do that. So here we just outlined the Token Engineering Commons, what it is: open source, collectively governed project that aims to create a token economy, accelerating responsible and ethical creation of public goods within the TE community. So you can go in and read all of this.
Hey Jess, I got to give you like a 60-second.
I'm not sure what you want me to do here, so I'm just going on the fly. And let's see. Yeah, just read it. It's great. If you have any questions, it goes into the rewards. Made this fun little graph here. It's just representation. And I think, if you're getting deeper in with us, definitely it's worth a read. So always open for feedback. Hope that's helpful.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you so much, Jess. I'm sorry to speed you up, but you have another one too coming up, the logo. So yeah, the claps are awesome. They help more people read it. Obviously, retweeting here is also great. The links are in the agenda. Easy way to score some praise and score some and support the project. So another thing that came up this week is that we have a new praise room. Praise can be a little distracting in our general chat. So we made a general token engineering praise room. Right now, the chat, the link is not like pretty. Eventually, it'll be named TE Praise. But right now, it's just here. It exists in the Discord. Our good friend Kai made it, and it's bridged to Telegram. And so please join the Telegram room so that it's really easy for us to dish you praise.
Perhaps Griff just show how praise looks like and open the Telegram. I think then
Sure.
it's clear for, let's say, people new to praises how that works.
Sure, yeah, it's really easy. Dish praise to Angela. Oops. What's your handle, Angela?
AKRTWS. AKRTWS. Yeah, it should pop up actually. Yeah.
Yeah, well, because you're not in the new TE praise room. And that's why it's really great to have people in this room. Then it just pops up for everyone. The praise bot.
Yeah, okay.
Woohoo! And so this bot actually then brings, just puts a line in a spreadsheet, this spreadsheet right here, and then at the end of the week, actually on Friday, we're going to have another open call to review all the praise that was dished and give it points, because everyone loves points in impact hours. So yeah, but join the praise room. That's the big thing. Jess, do you want to talk about the logo brainstorm?
Sure. So it came up. We didn't really have a working logo, and now that we're starting to publish articles and put out some comms, we are really needing at least a placeholder. We were using Common Stack plus the TE logo, so we just wanted to have our own little logo to start, and this will also help to guide some of the branding going forward. So I would love you to jump into this document. I just kind of made this on the fly. So if you have any feedback, if any of you have gone through like a branding process with a marketing team, feedback welcome. But I just put like some basic questions like what words should inspire our brand and our community? What feelings do you want the logo to evoke? What colors? I also put in, I think it's really helpful to put in some visuals of things you like. So for me, I like this cross-disciplinary looking flower, and I really like the Tron look and this kind of vaporwave. So that was my personal take, but obviously the more feedback and input, the better. So if you've got even a few minutes to go in and just put your name next to your feedback, I'm going to make the deadline next Friday, and then whoever wants to work with me and Livy and Marco, our designer, we can flesh out at least like a placeholder for now, and it can be an evolutionary process. So we can put it out for a vote. So totally open, and it's fun, creative.
Great. So the overview is that we're brainstorming on until October 2nd, and then the actual logo will be designed after the brainstorm.
Yes. So I'm going to take all the input and feedback till next Friday, and then get together in a small breakout working group. We might do a little session for 20 to 30 minutes, trying to 80-20 it and just get a placeholder for now. So yes, that is the process.
Awesome. Thanks, Jess. Okay, next one is seeding the community stewards group. So we're going to talk about community stewards after this call, if people can show up. If not, we'll, if you want to be a community stewards, just ping Livy or I, and we'll have like kind of a figure out how to do it. We're just making it up, guys. So we'll see how it goes. But you know, if you want to be a community steward, you have to commit to about 4 hours or more a week, every week, and to stay up to date with what we're doing, and then we will coordinate all of the work that's happening, and we are kind of just like the core coordinators. So that's the community steward group, and we're starting it today. That's exciting. The other big one is Gitcoin grants. I think everyone was in the call before, except for Ravi, but Ravi knows the Gitcoin grants story. So please donate to Gitcoin grants. This is the moment. Does anyone have anything they want to say on Gitcoin grants? If you
Just
have, oh yeah.
Contribute. That's it.
Yeah, and retweet the tweets. Anything. In fact, if anyone has any Gitcoin grants that they want us to help brigade, because unfortunately Gitcoin grants has just incentivized brigading, and as the source, for better or for worse. It's honestly not that bad. It's a great system of like encouraging all the people doing good work to promote themselves. But hey, this is the game. So if you have any retweets, any Twitter tweets that you want us to retweet, just put it in the chat, and we can all support each other. Oh, and actually, Jess, do you want to? Do you and Jeff want to talk about the Twitter community or the tweeting community? What's it called?
That's fine. Okay. Yeah, we have started an experiment. We're calling it was called the Twitter Cartel, but we thought maybe the connotations might not be that great. So we've changed the title to the Public Goods Twitter Collective. We have a Telegram group going just because Jeff and I happen to be the human bridges between many projects, and it's run a lot by engineers, and they need comms help. So we have de facto started to contribute more tweets and kind of harness the collective and start to dial our signal together to be a bit louder on Twitter. So we're kind of starting this as a trial run with the Gitcoin grants and kind of cross-promoting. We have a proposal out that Griffith, I don't know if you can put it in, or I can jump into the notes and put the proposal if you want to read. We're not, saying we're going to take over people's Twitter or anything. We're just managing a bit for those who are super busy, and here and there we can just, retweet what makes sense for the individual projects. So if you're interested, you can have a look at the proposal. If you know some engineers that need help, for right now, we're doing it under the Common Stack for the first trial run for a few weeks, just to show the Gitcoin grants. And then if it's successful and if people think it's useful, perhaps we will pool some resources and get a little more people on board to help us. So we just, had to set up the account and all these things. So yeah, have a look at the proposal. And if you think it's interesting or want to contribute and or suggest a project that might want to jump in, or at least form a little partnership, like, hey, do a few retweets a month and get a little closer, that would be great.
Awesome. Thanks, Jess. Okay, next on the list is the working groups. This is probably the big one for the week. There is a proposal. This proposal has already been passed, but now it's time to execute. So we are going to start with these 4 working groups. Shebnam's not here to really dive into working group 0, but it is kind of the working group that connects us to the rest of the Token Engineering Commons, is the way I see it at least. And then we have these other 3 working groups that we need to get started on ASAP. This is building the technical specification for the stuff that hits the blockchain, and websites and creating a user experience and all of that work, which I'm hoping that I can lead and work with OneHive to actually put that together. And then the communications working group, which I think Jess is considering leading, is also needs to get started. And then soft governments, community guidelines, cultural norms will be probably led by Livia, I think. And of course, Angela or any other community stewards that want to jump in and support, being a lead is just something artificial that we made up. A lot of these things can be done by committee. And coming soon, we want to have a legal group. We'll want to have like an outreach group and an actual tech team to launch all this stuff. So these are the working groups that we're going to go through and actually start working on. So yeah, that's all. If you have any interest in being part of some of these, feel free to put your name down in the notes so that if there's actions, we can find you and be like, hey, this is happening. There's no obligations here. I mean, you're all just contributors if you want to be a contributor. But if there's something that especially calls to you, feel free to put it in the notes. Put your name on these.
I mean, I'll be definitely happy to contribute in communications, also connecting T-Commons with the token engineering community, as I did in the past couple of weeks. The only thing that I'm not sure is this, I feel not really suited for leading working group 0, since I still don't feel I really got the aim of this group. But perhaps this will work out over the next, I don't know, couple of weeks, since I'm in touch with Shebnam continuously for the Token Engineering Academy, and
Yeah.
but just
Yeah.
to-
No, I'm with you. Like, I know Shebnem had like a very strong opinion, idea of what Working Group Zero needs to do, but I can never really understand exactly in like concrete terms its goals and purpose. So, you know, I consider it a bonus kind of working group. I think it is really valuable and important, but I don't know. We can't lead it if we don't know what it's supposed to do. But that might come out. We don't really know what any of these groups are supposed to do. So that's kind of
at
the
the
next
moment.
step. Yeah, that's the next step, is defining that. So
Yes, I had a talk with Shabnan about it today, and we decided to have a call for her to explain more in depth what she's thinking, and then if anyone feels the call to lead it, then people can jump on it.
excellent. So you'll schedule that and announce it in the chat or something?
Yeah.
Yeah, good.
That's great. So the next one is working group template. So the working group template is what we're going to try to work on today. We're making amazing time. This is great news. We had the last couple of meetings, we didn't get time to go into the onboarding data gathering. So we finally have the time to do it. So this is great. This next part of the call is much more engaging. So please join the notes if you can. We are going to have like first we're going to have a quick round of sharing and pass it around. So try to keep, there's a lot of people in the call, so try to keep it to under 60 seconds for explaining your experience with working groups. So the question is, have you been part of a working group before? And if so, how was it structured? And what was it for? And just give some general context about it and how it worked out. So I can start. I have been part of many working groups, probably, but none of them were defined as a working group, and they've all been structured very differently. I would say that for like the Giveth dev team, for instance, I'm part of that working group, and we have a weekly call where we go over the issues every week and assign them to different members and manage it through GitHub Kanban board. I'll pass it to Livia.
Yeah, I also have been part of many working groups, and the structure, I think it worked best for me was having some type of intention of what would be the outcome of that working group, that everyone is like, okay, that's the goal we all want to reach, but also having a flexible process to change the goal if that's the case. And I'll pass to Santi.
Well, I've been part of a recently working group on the Vigor project. I don't know if you guys are aware of. Vigor just launched a couple of weeks ago. It's a DeFi project, but it's been launched and defined by a DAC and created by a DAC. And I was part of the governance group for a while. And we created the group initially to define how to govern the DAC first, and then the whole project. And they are still working. We had weekly calls, and a couple of people were leading the group, and we were sharing, of course, documents and sharing ideas on how to manage the governance of the DAO. It's been changing throughout the time, and I think it was quite interesting. And it was, of course, the leaders are the ones that have the most part of having those groups move forward and lead to whatever they've been created for them. But there's always some people that's involved, and we got nice ideas, and we ended up moving forward the direction we wanted to.
Nice, and then you can pass it.
Yeah, I'll pass it to Angela.
Okay. Yeah, I also have been participating in a lot of working groups. I think what really works good in a setup like ours is to have this community steward as a driver and pushing and making sure that everybody is on the same page. And at the same time, I experienced that it's really valuable to align on the goals every week or every, let's say, sprint, can be also 2 weeks, align on the goals and then derive specific tasks that needs to be done and to produce outcome, and then work pretty independently on accomplishing tasks and producing results, and also being clear about deadlines, and make sure that everybody is experiencing progress as well. Because once you skip an update call or just extend the deadline, is sometimes just the first step towards losing the momentum. And okay, next one is Jeff.
Awesome. Yeah, I have been participating in some working groups in a couple of different areas. CAD stands out as well. And I think this working group style is kind of a good balance between decentralized collaboration and also like the structure to get things done. When we're a big amorphous group, it's really hard to coordinate like directed action. So when we break out into these smaller groups, we can have sort of that accountability to each other and responsibility to the things that we've committed to carrying out, and then produce these like small deliverables within work groups, which can then form into different work groups. So it's kind of this like amorphous distributed work process. So definitely so far, and I mean even Metagame made some interesting posts today about how hard it is to coordinate people around work in a distributed environment. So I think working groups are a good balance between individuals in a completely flat hierarchy and this big community that we now find ourselves in. We can have these almost like break off groups, produce a deliverable, and then come back together and then break off into other working groups. So it seems like a good way to collaborate. And I will pass to who has not gone yet. Ravi, are you here now? Can you?
I am.
Awesome.
So I have been part of some working groups. Can I say any of the results are satisfactory? No, they weren't. Major issue is because I don't think we ever started with a goal in mind, at least not one that was well defined. There was never any talk about metrics. There was never an end goal. It was a very fly by the seat of your pants. We'll get stuff done by spending as much time as possible on it. I unfortunately just don't have that kind of time, so I find myself relatively disillusioned by them. However, I do think that this particular setup is well suited for people who have a slightly more structured way of thinking / more detailed end goal in mind. I do think, and I think I was talking to Satnam about this as well, I think we commiserated over the same problem, is particularly for something soft like governance and cultural build, for example. It's increasingly difficult to have any kind of definition on what the endpoint will be, particularly since there's no real precedent on a well-defined cultural build. I mean, honestly, how many projects out there have a cultural build that they can kind of tout as a standard in the space? Not too many. However, there's always a hope that we can kind of collect the kind of right-minded set of people to change that. So yeah, I look forward to participating and helping define metrics a little more. Doing something a little more data-driven rather than intuition-based, which I know is how we've done a lot of things. And there is, of course, a lot of value because we are kind of trailblazing, and hence data is hard to find. But that being said, I don't see why we can't be the first. Anyone didn't go yet?
Craig and Jess both have to go.
All right, I'll pass it on to Craig.
Thank you. Nicely put. I don't have too much to add. You've all said some really nice things. I have a lot of working group experience, a lot of it unsatisfactory, but some of it fruitful. Yeah, I guess maybe just it seems like there's a tendency to stovepipe. We break out into these groups and then we never come back together. So I would just encourage folks to stay engaged in your small groups, but also keep in mind there's a larger group that's relying on the output of the small groups. And that's all I'll say.
Sorry, I'm muted. Hey, Jess.
Okay.
You're the last one.
Hey, sure. I've been a part of a lot of working groups, some working better than others. I'd say a couple of things. Everybody has said fantastic feedback. Just for me, I think what works really well is understanding how the people work in your working group. How do they respond best to communication? Some people like email, some people like Telegram. Just some of these kind of basic things, like what is their intrinsic motivation? Some people, we talked about this before when we were looking at the reward structure. Some people just want acknowledgement. Some people like the reputation aspect. Some people actually need money, fiat or tokens. So understanding what drives people and how they communicate will be really helpful. And also acknowledging the human side. There are times, people go through personal things, and I mean, I'm 35 and I've worked in so many different sectors, and I very rarely see like this caring and support at the human level. Like some people's partner may be ill, or, something happens with their kids, or I think this is really important things to talk about and to know about if we want to have productive people. And then, the incentive structures like stick and carrot, we don't really, I imagine there's no stick around here. It's all opt-in volunteer, but definitely being clear about the incentives and knowing where we're at, which I think the community so far has done a fantastic job of communicating. And last two things, I find for me personally, I am more driven when I have a personal connection and I feel like personally connected to people. I really want to support the people that I care about, and I'll stop all the other work that I'm doing and just jump in, and I want to help the people I love, and I work much faster that way. So I guess that ties back into the motivations for people and how they work and what drives. And finally, being a comms person, having clear comms is very challenging. So that's probably another big blocker that I've seen, is just like poor lack of communication, or just people having different ideas and some kind of like conflict resolution, or just if two people see things differently. And maybe that goes along with memes, keeping work fun. Like it doesn't have to be such a slog. And I struggle with this too, of being so serious all the time. So finding ways with your working group to like make fun Fridays where everybody shares a meme, or like share a personal photo, everybody share a photo of your dog, like just having this very human side is really important, which I know a lot of other people care about in this community. So looking forward to the rest.
Man, there is so much good feedback. Thank you guys. That was really fruitful. And I'm sure Livy and I will take this and try to make sure we incorporate it into going forward. We do have a few more pieces that we can use your help on, gather some more data. We have a proposed, I put together a small, very bullet point proposal of how to organize the working groups, which I hope to change based off of some of this feedback. But in general, the idea is that we have kind of a working group template. Like you said, Jess, clear comms. We need something to describe each working group. And it feels bureaucratic in some ways, but fortunately, it's it's going to save us time in the long run, because it will provide the clear communication to contributors about what is coming in, so people feel that they can actually come and go and contribute and not be wasting their time. So the default template will need to include deliverables, facilitation style, working style, who is in the group, and most importantly, the execution pattern. So it's kind of the default template is just, hey, this is what we're doing and how we're doing it, and who's involved, and this is our pattern. And the execution pattern, the proposal, is that before we actually get to doing the work, we define what the work will be and its objectives. So what are we doing? What is the end goals? And then once we've defined what our end goals are, and some metrics, hopefully, inspired by Ravi here, then we go and we talk to everyone about it. So each working group might need to build this template and then say what they want to do, and then go talk to the people who are going to be, who they expect to be in their working group, and other good advisors about if it's good. Then get their feedback, revise it, and propose it to the group. As we do with everything, this would go in Discord, and then we would integrate the feedback one more time on that proposal, and then we execute. Then once we have the roadmap, then we travel to the destination. So yeah, this is my like uninformed idea, and I would love some feedback. So if you guys want to just hack in here for maybe like 5 minutes, and a lot of this information that you gave here could probably be incorporated into some of this not very pretty stuff here. We're just gonna take like 4 minutes of hacking on this, if you guys can, and just start editing, if that's cool. So yeah, quiet time. Yeah, I should say, so Livy and I, or whoever wants to, will hack on this further throughout the week, kind of just a default template for people while we organize the community stewards. And then that default template hopefully will inspire the people who actually want to fill out the working groups to fill out the working groups. And maybe that whole idea is flawed. Maybe we can just dive straight into a working groups, build their own templates. Ravi, I'd be really curious to hear more on metrics if you have a chance to get into this doc sometime and just I even put your name here. Okay, so then we have just a few more minutes. Let's just give a quick round and hear what you guys think about this plan for working group template and actual working group definitions before getting started. I'll pass it to Jeff, and we'll try to keep it like 30 seconds.
Sorry, I lost my window here. What was the question?
What do you think about the idea of the working group template and working groups structure and having the plan outlined the way that we can kind of hack in on it there?
Yep, I think there's definitely a collective sense-making process in the beginning, which I heard reflected in a few people's like disenfranchisement with the working group process. I've got conviction voting on the brain, and I think this is part of the process where we kind of go lunar solar, and there's some in between. So we come up with a whole bunch of ideas, then we collectively like choose a path to move forwards, and there's a lot of exploration here. So, Livy's point of being flexible with like changing the goal. If we kind of go down one route and realize, we're putting in time into something that isn't producing the outcomes we're looking for, being open to change that is definitely a great idea in my opinion. And basically, narrowing in on what works. And I think that's how we come up with these replicable frameworks, is trial and error. And I think this is a great opportunity to explore some of these working groups, see what's working, see what isn't working, document our process. And I think that's what's missing in a lot of this space that I'm really excited in the token engineering community in particular, is documenting and understanding where things went wrong and how we can identify what works so we can replicate that. And should I pass? Angela. And she might have just joined. So maybe I'll pass to Craig instead. If you can find the window and the mute button. I know this as well, but I thought you had really great feedback on working groups, so I'm really interested in your experience and thoughts as well.
I think I'm on. Yeah. Okay. I'll just. It's a tough one. I like everybody's just open communication about the difficulties around working groups. A lot of times it feels like, hey, let's put together a working group, but start goal oriented, be flexible, and be engaged even if you're not engaged. That's all. Who wants to go next? Jessica?
I just took a bite of granola. Yeah, I think it's always hard to nail down a process for a cultural build because it's so specific and localized to the community. But I do feel hopeful that this group, with all these brains, can start to put together something that can be replicated. I think so far, there's so much documentation. I think the other challenge or need is to make, because everybody's so overloaded with processing all the information, to make like a TLDR, like even a checklist or when we do go through that process of just, as Jeff mentioned, of documenting, to just make it digestible and visual, everything that we're documenting as we go through this process. I find, it's much easier when things are visual. But yeah, it's definitely a balance between this kind of, logic, solar minded way of processing, and then there's a lot of this kind of more lunar feminine aspect of like flowing with things and allowing for things to change. So yeah, I'm looking forward to what this group comes up with. Actually, I will pass to Livy.
And let's keep it to like 20 seconds so we have time for the very end.
Yeah, I think all this inputs were really great, and I think it's helpful to have a structure and to have a template. But people can get creative on top of it. It's just a base for, like, if you don't have any ideas of how to navigate this process, we got to. But if you want to try something experimental, it's totally fine too. And I'll pass to Angela.
Okay, I was just, well, first, I'm really excited to kick off these working groups and get, well, see really outputs. Sometimes I feel we are a little bit, well, even though I think documentation is really, as you can see it now, just typing the results in parallel to the meeting itself is really very, very well done. But anyways, I still feel documentation is a little bit dangerous to capture too much time in contrast to producing output. So I hope we get this balanced, and I'm looking forward to make progress, not only documentation. And next is Santi.
Santi, yeah.
Well, I think all contributions were really good. One thing I think is missing is keeping track of all the progress, because sometimes some people launch the group and after a few weeks some new contributors want to join, and if there is no recording of the sessions or the information, it's kind of hard to jump in and get involved real quick. You have to spend a lot of time to catch up.
Great. Let's see, am I muted? No, I'm not. Okay, great. So then the last thing is just what do we need to work on this week? The biggest ones are creating a starting template for working groups, also collecting community stewards and onboarding community stewards. I think I'm definitely going to help with the community steward stuff, and I think Livia is too, right? And then we'll need to while we're recruiting community stewards, we're also going to try to collect and onboarding the community stewards, try to create this template for working groups. So it's really easy next week for people to start working groups. Although if people are hot to trot to push the working group forward, and you're in the community steward groups, we're not going to stop you, okay? But we are going to try to put together something that makes it easy for people to create a breakout group. And then what else we got? Oh, submit input. Thank you, Jess. Great call. Submit input to the branding and logo brainstorm. Everyone is welcome to do that. It's the first comms working group creative project. There's also, of course, Gitcoin grants. Oh my gosh. Everyone, donate Pan to Gitcoin grants. And is there any other action items for the week?
Nope.
Okay, then we're right on time again. Amazing.
Hey.
So thank you guys so much for joining. And and there's Robbie's little baby. Hi. Yeah, we'll see you guys next week and throughout the week. And if you want to be a community steward, stay right
thanks
here.
everyone for today.
Ravi, what's your baby's name?
Thank you so much for today.
We have the youngest contributor in the TEC. Is it? I can't see. What's her name?
His name is Callan.
Hi, Callan.
Hi, Callan. Callan is leading the babies working group.
Yeah, I love his interest. He's really interested. Great.
Yeah, the cute working group.
The youngest community steward.
Yeah. So so really the goal now, and we're going to keep recording it, but the goal now is to talk about being a community steward and what it entails. because we don't want
So I'm
to.
gonna leave you guys here.
Okay.
I'll hope to join next time. Great. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Santi. This will just be like a quick 15-minute thing. It's not going to be a whole thing. So, but just to like reiterate the goals of and why we're doing the community stewards. Livia, do you want to? I can of course jump in, but do you want to take this? We didn't really discuss this part at all, so.
Yeah, we didn't. I'm very happy that all of you guys are like here for jumping into being a community steward. And I think the biggest part is just understanding everything we've been doing and being up to date and wanting to contribute, especially now in the working groups phase. So even if you're not like an expert on the theme of the working group, you can still be a lead just to support the process to happen and information to be delivered in the end of it. Yeah, and then another thing is we want to create a group for community stewards so we can coordinate all the actions happening and also onboard people one-to-one. And I think this is going to be great because contributors, when they're entering, they feel sometimes shy or it's like an overload of information. So if we have this pairing system, then people can feel very comfortable to contribute and ask questions. So one of the functions of this community stewards group would be every time that someone new enters, we communicate like, oh, I got this person or I got this person. And then we all know that everyone is covered kind of thing.
Yeah, there's a lot of responsibility. This is the responsible position, right? In the TE Commons. These are the people to be a community steward. I have to be able to count on you that you are going to be able to put some time in and be part of the like core team, staying up to date with all the processes that are happening. We will likely organize like our own personal chat where we kind of give updates, and ideally you'd be able to follow that entire chat and commit to, even on a busy week, 4 hours minimum of working on the TE Commons, because without that 4 hours every week, we won't be able to keep up. And as a community steward, you're responsible to be a set of contributors anchor into all of the questions of what's happening. And this is kind of how we're designing the network of the TE Commons, the people network. The different responsibilities are making sure that you know everything that's happening, being proactive on solving problems, feeling that you have the agency. Part of this label should give you the agency to solve any problem that you see proactively without having to ask for help or well, I mean, if you need help, of course, but without having to ask for permission. And then making sure that you tell people about the problems that you solve. And you can do that two ways, just by telling us or dishing yourself praise. We're going to really count on the community stewards to be dishing most of the praise. And the other piece is leading working groups. You don't have to lead a working group,